Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger might haunt your dreams, but in the twisted world of Resident Evil, the monsters don't just stalk, they dominate. Forget the masks and signature weapons. For Resident Evil, monsters bring claws, tendrils, and mutations that rewrite the rules of survival. From the relentless tyrants to the hideous lickers and the terrifying Nemesis roaring stars. These creatures are built to hunt, crash, and annihilate, so buckle up, horror fans, because it's time to pit your favorite slashers against monsters that don't just go bump in the night. They tear through walls, shatter bones, and won't stop until you're nothing but a memory. Are you ready to see how these beasts leave the slashers in their dust? Oh, and like always, but before we get started with the video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, subscribe to us and like the video. It might just be a simple click for you, but it means a lot to us. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. Nemesis. Okay, we're gonna start with a banger. Meet Nemesis T-Type, also known as the Pursuer, the towering terror and relentless antagonist of Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, and its remake. Standing 8 feet tall and weighing over 600 pounds, Nemesis is the ultimate bioweapon created by Umbrella Corporation's Twisted Science. Born from the Tyrant project and enhanced with an innie alpha parasite, Nemesis combines brute strength, terrifying intelligence, and unparalleled persistence. Unlike other tyrants, he doesn't just go on a killing spree, rather he's a calculated predator who can wield weapons, follow orders, and even grow stronger when injured. He has but one mission: to eradicate every last member of STARS, relentlessly roaring their name as he hunts them down. Nemesis doesn't stop. Ever. Rockets, fire, and even decapitation won't keep him down. Thanks to his parasite's regenerative abilities, he adapts to any damage, mutating into an even deadlier form. As he takes more punishment, he evolves from a humanoid juggernaut into a hideously disfigured monster, bristling with spear-like tentacles that can impale, grab, and shred his enemies from a distance. In his earlier forms, Nemesis charges at his prey like an unstoppable freight or fright train, smashing through walls, downing helicopters, and tossing humans like ragdolls. His concussive roar can even leave Jill Valentine stunned, giving him an opening to strike. By his later stages, his agility takes a horrifying turn, as he can climb buildings and run on walls on his fours. He even developed an ability to spit acid. Yeah, it's sorta difficult to bring this one down. Makes sense why he's the fan favorite monster from Resident Evil. Gador. Imagine a creature so deadly its captors had to sew its eyelids shut to control its ferocity. Yeah, that's a Gador for you. Gador means the clawer in Spanish. These former humans were enhanced by the parasitic plaga, granting them monstrous strength and claws, but stripping them of their sanity, and making them uncontrollably aggressive. Blinded but far from defenseless, the Gador relies on razor-sharp hearing to hunt its prey. With retractable claws grafted to each arm, they can tear through anything in their path. The first Gador Leon encounters is chained inside a cell within Salazar's castle. As soon as Leon enters, the beast breaks free and begins its deadly pursuit. Fear not, because despite their overwhelming power, the Gador has two major vulnerabilities. First, their blindness can be exploited. Loud noises like gunshots or tolling bells will draw their attention, causing them to charge toward the sound. This can expose the plaga parasite erupting from their spine, the second and most critical weak spot. Players can use this to their advantage, but be careful. The Gador will destroy the bells if they strike them, and gunfire or running away can give away your position. Their attacks are deadly and unforgiving. One wrong move and you'll be impaled by their claws or decapitated in a gruesome fashion. These armored gladiators are almost impervious to frontal attacks, so strategy is key to bring them down. Powerful weapons, explosives, or well-timed melee attacks can momentarily stagger them, but don't expect an easy takedown. One key tip if you're a player: leave Ashley outside the prison during the first encounter. The Gador can kill her instantly, but locking her out ensured her safety. Just trust me on this. Oh, and also, be careful with flashbangs. They'll temporarily give the Gador the ability to detect you and trigger an immediate and brutal charge. You're welcome. Mr. X, Tyrant T00. Mr. X has many names: T00, Super Tyrant, T103, or even Trenchy if you prefer a cute nickname. Mr. X is a massive trenchcoat-clad bioweapon that stalks the halls of Resident Evil 2. This towering tyrant stands around 7 feet tall and weighs over 300 pounds. T00 was created by the Umbrella Corporation to eliminate survivors and retrieve the G-Virus from Sherry Burkin's pendant. His stoic demeanor and pursuit makes him one of the franchise's most iconic villains. Unlike his fellow T103 T-103 units deployed to Raccoon City as combat tests, T-00 had a specific mission: hunt down anyone left alive in the police station and secure the G-Virus sample. He quickly becomes a thorn in the side of Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, stalking them through claustrophobic corridors with the slow, deliberate pace of a predator who knows there's no escape. T-00's power is off the charts. He punches through walls, shrugs off bullets, and keeps coming no matter what's thrown at him. When destroyed, T-00 mutates into his Super Tyrant form, a monstrous clawed beast with exposed flesh and a glowing weak point: his massive heart. In this form, he sacrifices his calculating nature for raw power, becoming faster, deadlier, and utterly relentless. He's not entirely mindless, by the way. He shows hints of self-awareness, adjusting his behavior when frustrated. He also has some sort of a fedora obsession, so go anywhere near it and he's gonna be so mad. His calculated pursuit is also almost human, which is kinda terrifying. He isn't unstoppable though. If you use powerful weapons, explosives, and strategy, you can slow him down. And if all else fails, an anti-tank rocket's all that's needed to bring down the monster. Executioner Majini. The Executioner Majini is an infected force of terror forged by the Type 2 Plaga parasite. Whether driven by choice or the parasite's influence, this mutant became a brutal enforcer in the Kijuju Rebellion, a violent uprising that saw the execution of countless perceived enemies. Once an ordinary man, his transformation was anything but ordinary. Thanks to the parasite's growth hormones, he became a towering behemoth with freakish strength, standing head and shoulders above other Majini. By January 2009, the Executioner had fully embraced his role as the Rebellion's executioner, wielding a massive rusted axe with deadly precision. Despite his menacing presence, the Executioner is a bit of a brute. Slow and reckless, he is prone to hitting nearby Majini in his rampage, a weakness players can exploit to thin out enemy hordes. His attacks, while devastating, are predictable, making dodging his axe slams and choking grabs a manageable task with some practice. Armed with his sheer size, overwhelming strength, and that iconic axe, he might seem like a nightmare, especially if you're playing for the first time, but taking him down isn't as difficult as it seems. A steady barrage of headshots, a few grenades, and well-timed assaults can bring this towering foe to his knees. The Executioner also makes appearances in Desperate Escape, The Mercenaries, and Resident Evil Revelations 2 Raid Mode, where his presence remains as intimidating as ever. Lisa Trevor. Lisa Trevor's tale is both haunting and heartbreaking, so prepare to shed a few tears. Born in 1953 to architect George Trevor and his wife, Jessica, Lisa lived a normal life until her family became entangled with Oswell E. Spencer and his schemes. In 1967, after George's company completed the extravagant Spencer Mansion in the Arkley Mountains, Lisa and Jessica were invited to stay as guests. But instead of luxury, they found horror as they were abducted and subjected to experiments with the progenitor virus. While Jessica succumbed to the virus and was executed, Lisa's body reacted differently, granting her superhuman strength and regenerative abilities. This came at a cost, as her mind deteriorated, consumed by the trauma and a longing for her mother. Her tormentors, seeking to manipulate her, sent someone to impersonate Jessica, a deception that Lisa did not take too well, and resulted in violence as she attempted to return her mother's stolen face. Over decades, Lisa became a living experiment in Umbrella's secret labs. Used as a test subject for bioweapons research, she endured unimaginable pain but remained unkillable due to her regenerative powers. Even after her supposed execution in 1988, Lisa survived and retreated to the Arkley Mountain, becoming a ghostly presence around the mansion she once called home. By 1998, Lisa's territory expanded to the mansion grounds, where she haunted the underground tunnels and harassed members of STARS during the infamous mansion incident. Her obsession with finding her mother led to a climactic moment when she recovered Jessica's remains, but met her end in the mansion's self-destruction. I don't think I'd call her a monster, but rather a victim of science gone wrong. Poor Lisa. Axeman. The Axemen are monstrous bioweapons that stormed into Resident Evil Afterlife and Resident Evil Retribution, delivering mayhem with their signature colossal axes. These mutants were Umbrella Prime's ridiculous answer to the Executioner Majini from Resident Evil 5, created in a Siberian research facility to serve as walking engines of destruction. When the Red Queen decided humanity's time was up, the Axemen were unleashed into the world to eradicate the remaining survivors. The Axemen's first cinematic moment is one to remember. Dragging its massive axe through the streets of Los Angeles kinda reminded me of the Grim Reaper. Eventually, it reached the Citadel Correctional Facility, where Alice and her band of survivors were holed up. Its presence alone seemed to electrify the horde of zombies, who joined in its assault on the gate. Despite Claire Redfield and Luther West's desperate attempts to barricade the compound, the Axeman obliterated the main gate with terrifying force, allowing the undead to pour in. Things escalated when the group ventured into underground tunnels carved by Majini zombies. The Axeman made its terrifying reappearance, Severance, killing Kim Young in a grisly display by splitting him in half. It even lands a devastating blow on Alice, leaving her unconscious and forcing Claire to face the beast one-on-one. Thank God for Claire's quick reflexes and thinking. She was able to dodge the Axeman's brutal attacks and was able to outsmart it. Sliding beneath its towering legs, she blasted at close range with Alice's shotgun, momentarily stunning the monster. Unfortunately, the Axeman wasn't down for long, as it soon regained consciousness and hurled its axe in a last-ditch effort to take Claire out. Fortunately, Alice swooped in at the last second to save her. Thank goodness for Alice, huh? Tinak. The Tinak was a human-based BOW, who was Neo Umbrella's weapon in their pursuit of Jake Muller to perfect the enhanced C-Virus. Its name, fittingly, comes from the Serbian word for revolution. Once an employee of Dr. Karla Radamez, the man who became Tinak willingly embraced the C-Virus in 2011. Born with a frail body, he saw the virus as a gift, trading his humanity for unimaginable power. For him, this transformation was a dream come true. By surviving where 322 others had failed, Tinak's endurance was celebrated as a major breakthrough. However, during his initial days as a mutant, a lab accident cost him his right arm, and unlike the virus's usual regenerative miracles, his limb never grew back. Despite this flaw, his enhanced abilities impressed Neo Umbrella scientists, who quickly deemed him a success. The Tinak demonstrated a remarkable talent of crafting weapons designed to grab and trap prey. Inspired, Neo Umbrella equipped him with a mechanical arm, featuring attachments like a deadly drill, and later a capturing claw, a design that hilariously frustrated researchers as they tried to make it look less like a cheap toy. Tinak was also super loyal to Karla Radamez. In fact, he particularly worshipped the ground she walked on. To him, she was a goddess who had granted him the power he had always desired, so he listened to everything she'd say. A few Neo Umbrella scientists actually described their relationship as almost maternal. Jack Baker. Jack Baker, like his name suggests, was once just a regular guy living a quiet life in Dulvey Parish, Louisiana. A former Marine, Jack settled down with his wife Marguerite, raised 2 kids, Lucas and Zoe, and ran the family farm. By 2014, this seemingly average family man had become a violent serial killer, who alongside with his family, terrorized and devoured over 100 people. The reason? A little thing called the mold, which was brought into their lives by a mysterious little girl named Eveline. It all started in October 2014, when a hurricane led Jack to investigate a wrecked ship in the bayou. There, he found Mia Winters and Eveline, unknowingly bringing the bioweapon into his home. The mold infected Jack, slowly replacing his DNA and turning him into something, well, monstrous. Under Eveline's control, Jack's mind deteriorated, and his love for his family was twisted into an obsession with fulfilling Eveline's dream of a bigger family. With their minds warped by the mold, the Bakers turned their farm into a house of horrors. They kidnapped tourists and drifters, using them for Eveline's experiments and killing them. The mold would turn their dead bodies into little puppets they referred to as molded. Sometimes they'd eat them. Jack was basically the enforcer, as he'd be the one dragging the victims to their doom, and killing anyone who threatened Eveline's so-called family dynamic. By 2017, their crimes had escalated, with hundreds of victims disappearing. That July, Eveline lured Ethan Winters, Mia's husband, to the Baker estate. Jack brutally hunted Ethan for a while, but sometime during his imprisonment, Jack's true self emerged, only for a little while. He appeared to Ethan in a vision, filled with guilt and pleading for his family's release from Eveline's control. William Burkin, G-Monster. Meet Dr. William Burkin, prodigy, virologist, and the genius behind the creation of Umbrella Corporation's G-Virus. You might also know him as Sherry Burkin's father. His could have been a tale of scientific brilliance, but it's not. Rather, it's one of a descent into madness and mutation. Burkin joined Umbrella at just 16, mentored by James Marcus and working alongside Albert Wesker, his close friend and rival. Together, they pushed the boundaries of bioweapons research, starting with the T-Virus and eventually co-creating the infamous G-Virus. His early career was marked by jealousy and ambition, especially when a 10-year-old Alexia Ashford outshone him. Fueled by rivalry, Burkin developed the first Hunter BOW and continued his groundbreaking work. By 1988, Burkin's life hit critical moments. He helped assassinate his mentor, became the head of T-Virus research, and alongside his wife Annette, focused on the G-Virus. Success, although, came at a cost. When Umbrella betrayed him in 1998, sending a team to steal his work, Burkin was fatally shot. In a desperate act of revenge, he injected himself with the G-Virus, transforming into a monster known as G-Burkin. The G-Virus gave him unlimited evolutionary potential. Whenever injured, he regenerated and adapted, growing extra arms, talons, tendrils, and even eyeballs for enhanced vision. Each form of his mutation made him stronger, faster, and deadlier, eventually surpassing even Umbrella's Tyrants and Nemesis in raw power. G-Burkin could take out enemies like T-00 Tyrants with ease, shred through humans with a single strike, and devastate entire areas with the shockwaves of his attacks. His agility was totally unmatched, as he was able to leap between walls, outrun skilled fighters like Leon, and wreak pure havoc on Raccoon City. Hell, he's also apparently superior to Nemesis. If that wasn't horrifying enough, G-Burkin could reproduce asexually, infecting victims with G-larvae to create more horrors.
Jesus Christ!
El Gigante. You've probably heard of El Diablo, the devil. Well, meet El Gigante, the giant. They are huge creatures stemming straight from Los Illuminados' twisted experiments. Standing 4 times taller than the average human, these bioorganic weapons are designed to crush, smash, and terrify anything in their path. Born from human test subjects during experiments with the Plagas parasite, these massive monstrosities were a dream or nightmare come true for Los Illuminados. There's a small catch though. The bigger they got, the harder they were to control. Lacking intelligence and being a danger even to their ganado allies, the cult decided to produce only a handful of these giants. Think of them as limited edition monsters. Los Illuminados had strategically stationed their El Gigante across the region. 2 were sent to the Salazar Castle, patrolling its dark underground tunnels, while another pair was locked away in the village coal mines, kept dormant until absolutely necessary. That is, until US agent Leon S. Kennedy came along. Proving too skilled for the Ganados to handle, Leon's arrival unleashed these colossal creatures, turning his mission into a battle for survival. Even Ada Wong, the enigmatic spy, had her own dangerous run-in with one of these massive beasts. El Gigante might have been a failure in controllability, but his bioweapons, they're a horrifying success. Reaper. Picture this, a cockroach. Yes, a cockroach, mutated into a 7-foot-tall humanoid horror after exposure to the Ouroboros virus. Unlike other bioorganic weapons like the Chimera, this creature wasn't created by any company, but rather, it was a freak of nature, born from a random mutation triggered by a fire at the Tricell African Research Facility. Standing at nearly 7 feet, the Reaper boasts 3 pairs of limbs, 2 as massive jagged arms, and 1 set of legs for walking. But don't let this form fool you. It can scuttle around like the cockroach it once was, crawling on all 6 limbs if necessary. Its arms end in deadly claws, sharp enough to slash and stab anything in its path. The Reaper earned its fearsome name after it decimated entire squads of armed Magini, tearing through them with ease and leaving nothing but carnage in its wake. The creature's body is shielded by a tough carapace, making it nearly immune to explosions. But what's truly horrifying is its power to regenerate. Oh yeah, I know, so can a lot of the above-mentioned creatures. But this one is a cockroach. A giant one. If that wasn't enough, the Reaper can emit a chemical vapor that messes with your vision, making it all the more elusive and harder to fight back against. However, every monster has a weakness. For the Reaper, it's the glowing white sacs on its body, which has the vital organs exposed due to its horrific mutation. Targeting and damaging these sacs can bypass its near invincibility, giving attackers a slim but vital chance to put the monster down for good. Regenerators. Meet Regenerators, a bioweapon birthed from another one of the experiments of Los Illuminados, the Spanish militant group. These abominations were the result of research into Plaga-based bioweapons, and their true horror lies in their uncanny regenerative powers. If you manage to destroy one, don't expect it to stay down for long. It's just gonna grow back massive chunks of its body like nothing ever happened. The Regenerators were created by injecting multiple parasites into a human body, forcing it to undergo violent mutations. The result was towering 7'5" creatures that look as horrific as they sound. They were originally kept in cold storage on the isolated island, lying in hibernation until the need arose to unleash them. But once the Los Illuminados base was destroyed in 2004, it's assumed that all the Regenerators perished with it. Or did they? Marvelous conclusion. And there you have it, a whole lineup of terrifying monsters birthed by equally terrifying experiments and mutations. I think my favorite is obviously Nemesis, and maybe the G-Monster. Actually, I like them all. Well, everyone except the Reaper. Well, now it's your turn. What do you think? Which of these monsters send a shiver down your spine? Do you have a favorite monster from the world of bioweapons? Or maybe one that you think deserves its moment in the spotlight? Let me know down below if there's a creature you want me to dive deeper into, or maybe one you think is even scarier than these, because let's face it, there's a whole lot of nightmarish monsters out there just waiting to be explored. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.